Before we start our journey, a polite request to ask you to subscribe to my channel. The Memory Walk videos were created specifically for Canterbury residents who can no longer visit the places that hold cherished memories of their childhood. Whether due to physical limitations or because they have relocated abroad, these individuals now have a way to reconnect with their past. The videos offer more than just glimpses of the city centre, they explore a variety of locations across Canterbury, allowing viewers to experience the broader landscape of their hometown. We begin this Canterbury memory walk at the top of the town and head towards St George's Place. The crossroads where the High Street met the A28 road until the 1960s was replaced with a large roundabout. The popular Twyman's department store used to be on the left-hand side and was demolished to make way for the roundabout. The current Odeon Cinema was previously known as the ABC, and then, the Regal. Saturday morning pictures was very popular with local children. We continue along St George's Place, heading for New Dover Road. In the distance is the site of the former Querns showroom. On the first floor was the Ministry of Social Security offices, and on the top floor was Abbott's Laboratories. It has now been replaced by a large Premier Inn. On the opposite corner, there used to be Querns workshop and service station. It is now a large block of flats, mainly occupied by students. Telephone House was built in 1939 and was the headquarters for the Canterbury telephone area. It was responsible for the entire running of accounts, installation, and maintenance. It employed a large number of Canterbury residents in the 1940s, 1950s, and 1960s. Each Christmas, a party was arranged for the children whose parents worked at Telephone House. The parties were held in the staff canteen and were a great success. Some of the children who attended these parties ended up working at Telephone House in later years. We will now continue along New Dover Road, heading for Barton Estate. Prefabs were temporary homes built in a factory at the close of the Second World War. They were built to rehouse those who had lost their homes during the Blitz, or servicemen coming back from the war and their young families. More than 156,000 were erected, all over the country in 1946 and 1947. This is the Churchill Road Prefab Estate. We now head for Barton Estate, a residential area of mainly larger pre-war houses. It has a local post office and convenience store as well as a small church. A number of post-war homes and a primary school have been added to the area over the years. Children from the estate would play on Babs Hill, around Mounts Farm and in the local woods. There is also a large allotment site adjoining the estate in Pilgrim's Way. We now leave Barton Estate and head over the railway toward Babbs Hill. King George V's Memorial Field is known locally as Babbs Hill. It was bequeathed to the people of Canterbury in the 1930s. In the summer, Babbs Hill is a place for picnics, kite flying, laying in the long grass, and watching the numerous butterflies flit around the wildflowers. However, the winter on Babbs Hill sees a very different face.
There's more people on it this time, I think.
In the 1950s, Spring Lane was just single track with no paths, and quite rural. It was the main route to and from the town. There were no pavements, but there was little traffic in the 1950s. It has since been considerably widened. We now move on toward the Spring Lane estate. Number 7 Spring Lane was the childhood and teen home of Tessa Clements, with her parents, Ronald and Phyllis, and siblings, Sandra, Roy, and Philip. Spring Lane Estate was built in the early 1950s. Residents were mainly young families whose parents had been involved in the Second World War. Like all of the Canterbury estates, most of the children who grew up on the Spring Lane estate were of a similar age, and many friendships were made through childhood and teenage years. Now, some 70 years later, friendships are being rekindled through the power of social media. Canterbury Childhood and Teens, 1940s to 1960s, is a Facebook group where memories and photos of those very special times are shared. Some of the first houses to be built on Spring Lane Estate were in Cumberland Avenue. Numbers 1, 3, 5, and 7 were the first to be occupied. Mounts Farm was at the top of Spring Lane. It consisted of many acres of orchards, and wives from the estate would go fruit picking each year to subsidize the family income. For children, it was a place of great adventure. The railway bridge was a favorite meeting place and was perfect for watching steam trains thunder past. Boys would dare each other to walk the parapet, which was very dangerous as there was a 30-foot drop onto the railway tracks. There was a goldfish pond and children would often walk to it with bread to feed the fish. The barn for storing empty apple boxes used to be open-sided and was a great place for building dens with the boxes. This entire area of Mounts Farm was once covered in mature orchards. For many years, local residents enjoyed walks through this area, especially in blossom time. It was also a well-used route to the beautiful Bluebell Wood. It will soon be lost forever as it's now been designated for a large housing project of 6,000 homes, to be known as Mountfield Park. Bluebell Wood is a magical place and has changed little over the past 70 years or more. It has a number of mature trees and a superb display of bluebells every spring. The wood is a popular destination for local residents where they have family picnics and the children enjoy playing hide and seek. There are signs of foxes, badgers and rabbits in the wood. Birdsong is all around. Sadly, the future of Bluebell Wood is uncertain, as the planned housing complex of Mountfield Park will surround it. Let's sit back for a few minutes and enjoy the peace of this beautiful woodland. Chestnut Wood is also on Mounts Farm and is situated alongside Beaksbourne Lane. Consisting mainly of sweet chestnut trees, hence its name, local residents made a beeline for it in the autumn to gather chestnuts for roasting by the fire. Leaving Mounts Farm and returning to Spring Lane Estate, turn right into Dorset Road, heading for Sussex Avenue. Mervyn Harding spent his childhood in Rutland Close. He is pictured here with his mum Beryl on the right and Aunt Marion on the left. Behind Bankside Flats, there was a rugged undeveloped area, known locally as the ditch. The ditch was a favourite play area for children on the estate in the 1950s and 1960s. It was a small valley with a stream running through it. At the far end, there was a dam that in the past held water back to make an ornamental lake for Stonehouse. A line of mature trees lined one side of the valley, making ideal places for climbing and rope swings. At the dam, the water tumbled down from a sluice and it was known locally as the waterfall. This was a popular meeting place for the children on the estate. Sadly, it has since been filled in, the stream culverted, and a modern children's playground has been built on top. Beyond the ditch was the swamp. Originally an ornamental lake for Stonehouse. Over the years it silted up and became a swamp. This was a favourite, although dangerous playground. Children would often spend all day in the swamp, exploring, climbing trees and building camps. It has since been surrounded by security fencing and has become a picturesque nature reserve. Children would use their bare hands to catch aquatic insects in this stream, and make dams with this black smelly mud. Surprisingly, none of them ended up seriously ill. The biggest danger was not knowing how deep the swamp was. Even the silted up areas were not safe, as a stick could easily be pushed many feet down. Children always seemed to be aware of the danger, and were very careful where they walked. The creeper tree was in the middle of the swamp and was a regular meeting place for local children. It has since toppled over and is gradually returning to nature. We leave the swamp and return to Sussex Avenue and the estate shops. In the 1950s and 1960s, from left to right, there was a wool shop, a newsagent, a greengrocer, and a grocer's shop. Together, they supplied most of the estate's daily needs. Behind the houses in Kent Avenue, there used to be allotments, where there was a spring that fed a small pond. Local children played and caught newts here. They knew it as the Newt Pond. The pond is now surrounded with security fencing to protect the wildlife. The houses at the top of Spring Lane Estate and in Littlebourne Road are mainly pre-war, with some being damaged during the Second World War. The houses in Littlebourne Road face the site of the former Howe Barracks. The Howe Barracks, originally home to the Buffs, followed by the Queens, the Princess of Wales and the Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders regiments. The barracks finally closed in 2015 and is being replaced by a large housing estate. Chaucer Care Home is built on the site of the once popular Mill House pub. A sad loss for the local community. Querns Road is a small pre-war estate at the top of St. Martin's Hill. A number of these houses were lost in the Blitz, but were rebuilt soon after the war. Querns Road children would play on Babs Hill and in the Old Park. The Old Park was an army training area. When the red flag wasn't flying, it was a great place for the children of Querns Road to explore. We now leave Querns Road and head down St. Martin's Hill, passing the old St. Martin's Mill on the right. St. Martin's is, along with Canterbury Cathedral and St. Augustine's Abbey, part of a World Heritage Site. It is recognised as the oldest church building in Britain still in use as a church. In St. Martin's churchyard is the grave of Mary Tortle. Mary Tortle was a Canterbury resident and was the creator of children's favourite, Rupert Bear. She died on the 15th of March 1948, aged 74, at the Kent and Canterbury Hospital and is buried here with her husband Herbert. A short detour past the church ends up at the Conduit House. Conduit House was part of the monastic waterworks that supplied nearby St. Augustine's Abbey. Built in the mid-12th century, it was supplied by water from springs on the Old Park. It once housed an octagonal tank from which water flowed to the abbey, via a lead pipe. We return to North Holmes Road, and head for the St. Gregory's area. A number of pre-war residential roads branch off from North Holmes Road. We also pass Canterbury Christchurch University. In the 1950s and 1960s, children from the area had access to play on the Old Park or by the River Stour. In their teens, they had close access to the city centre and the Prince of Wales Youth Club. After passing St. Gregory's Church, we enter Havelock Street. Halfway along is the New Inn, which has traded under that name since 1861. At the end of the street we join Broad Street. Here we find Payne Smith Primary School, a school that was very much loved by its pupils. We continue, passing Lady Wootton's Green and the gateway to St. Augustine's Abbey. Further on is the site of the Saracen's Head pub, a popular venue for courting couples in the 1960s. We turn left here, into Church Street, St. Paul's. The Duke's Head pub is now a Turkish restaurant. St. Paul's Church is a sister church to St. Martin's. Behind the church is the site of St. Paul's Primary School, which discontinued as a school and was demolished in the late 1950s. Many of the pupils were relocated to Payne Smith School in Broad Street. Passing the site of the old 11th century tea rooms, we now head for Longport. After taking the 11+ exam, Pupils with the required results would go to technical colleges, like this one in Longport. Behind the site of the college are the ruins of St. Augustine's Abbey. We continue along Longport, where we pass the old Sessions House and Canterbury Prison. The prison was once home to the notorious Cray twins. Sessions House and the prison are both now owned by Christchurch University. We cross over and head back down the other side of Longport, passing the site of the Princess Charlotte pub and the John Smith Almshouses. The Technical School for Girls was formed before World War II. It moved to Barton Court in 1945. The large pond in the grounds was at one time the fish farm for St. Augustine's Abbey. Until the 1950s, Lower Chantry Lane was quite narrow. It was subsequently widened to become the main route to Sandwich. The original Payne Smith School was on the right, but was lost in the Blitz. On the corner of Edward Road is the former Doge's Cafe, a very popular cafe in the 1950s and 1960s. We then continue into Edward Road, a pre-war residential area. Ro Brocklebank, née Cook, spent her childhood at number 24. She is pictured here with her parents, Doris and Bay, her brother Christopher, and other family members. We then cross over to Ivy Lane and head back toward the top of the town. Back to the top of the town, and Journey's End. This was a popular meeting place for teenagers in the 1950s and 1960s, before heading off to the Fanfare, the Black Poodle, the Cherry Pie, Arcaris, record shops, fashion shops and Saturday night dances. Affectionately remembered by teenagers of the 1950s and 1960s as the very best of times.